Hey, hey, what is up? What is up? Happy freaking Monday. Oh my goodness, happy day one to our 3-day mini series, You Should Go and Love Yourself. My goodness, I am so fired up. I feel like the past 4 days leading into like announcing this launch and getting everything set up, all of you ladies added into this group. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Becky. Thank you guys for hopping on. Hey, Michelle. Hey there, girlfriend. How does it feel to be a newlywed? So exciting. Hey, Katie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Holy smokes, I am like, every time I do like a new live mini series and I'm covering new content. All right, Adrian, good. Well, I'm trying to keep this up to like 45 minutes top, so you will be here for most of it. Every time I do one of these launches and I'm covering new content or just content on a new level, I always get super excited, and I'm just like the days leading into it, I'm just like, all these ideas are popping into my head. Hey, John. So I am going to go on ahead and dive right in. I'm going to make sure that I have my phone set up with this group so that I can see questions coming in, because sometimes on my desktop it does not show me. And I want to make sure that any questions you guys have, I'm able to answer them while you guys have them on this call, because that is what this is for. Perfect. Volume is down. Hey, Danielle. Oh my gosh, look at all of you guys popping on bright and early on a Monday morning. Well, I guess it's not early for you guys. Maybe it's early for me, though. But okay, let us dive right in. Whew. I'm just going to take a few deep breaths. Whew. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. So today we are going to be covering all things on breaking down the negative beliefs that you have about yourself. And guys, here's the thing. I have been on a personal development journey for at least 7 years, right? But every time we are learning something, we are always learning it at a new level, right? So everything that we have done from the start of our journey to where we are now, we could hear the same thing over and over and over again. And at every level, it's going to mean something different to each and every one of us. So for those of you that are new to this group, welcome. I was really excited this morning too, because my angel number is 143. And up until about 5 minutes ago, there were 143 ladies in this group, which I was like, okay, this is the sign, thank you, universe. But for those of you that are new to this group, I'm going to give you guys a little recap of how I got to where I am now. So I am a single mom running 2 businesses. One, I started my business as an online entrepreneur, as a network marketer. I partner with Beachbody. I will always bleed Beachbody blue. It is something I'm incredibly passionate about. I think there's nothing more rewarding than helping men and women feel absolutely amazing in the skin that they're in and living their healthiest and happiest and most confident lives. I started that journey about 6 years ago, and I now also have another business called Next Level Magic, yay, which each and every one of you are in our free group, which it is just, God put it on my heart to just service everyone where they are at. So you guys will be, in with all the amazing free content that I have coming for you, because I'm just so passionate about helping other women in every aspect of their life just up level, whether it be in your finances, in your relationships, in loving yourself, like this group, seeing more success in your business. So I kind of cover it all, because everything in life all comes back to ourselves, right? It all comes back to energetically owning who we are. And guys, everything around success and abundance and joy and relationships all comes down to a heart issue. And the heart issue always comes back to who we are and what we believe we are and what we believe that we are worthy of deserving. So I launched that business. Goodness, I'm coming on my 1-year anniversary here at the end of April, which is insane. And this business allowed me to triple my income. Some months even quadrupling it, catapulting me into my first 5-figure launch, which, I still say it and I'm like, oh, every time I'm so grateful for it. And it really was kind of the missing piece of what I needed in my life, and has been the start of so much more abundance to where I am now and where I am headed. So how did I get to exactly where I am today? So a little backstory. I am going to center this kind of solely around relationships and self-love, because I think that's where a lot of my limiting beliefs came from. I was raised in a super Italian household. I've seen, a lot of my family members struggle with their weight, struggle with their health, and really loving themselves. So from an early age, and here's a really fun fact about the subconscious, guys, is our subconscious from the age of 0 to 7 is when we basically establish like the pinnacle point of our subconscious and who we are. And so that's really the foundation of the beliefs that we take on. So from 0 to 7, everything that you're taking in is what's bringing you to the moment that you are, 8 to 12, and then all those beliefs, and then from 12 on, all of those beliefs. And guys, the more we instill the beliefs that we have, whether it be negative or positive, the more that we're going to continue to live into that existence, right? So most of your subconscious imprinting was created between the ages of 0 and 7. So there are so many limiting beliefs that I am still learning about myself now that stem back from when I was an infant on, right? And I might not always know exactly what the memory is, but I can always send it back to some sort of belief that I witnessed, my mom or my dad or a loved one or a friend going through at that phase of their life, right? So I saw a lot of my family members struggling with their weight and loving themselves. And I also saw my family struggle a lot financially. So then segue into high school, I was in a very long-term relationship, and this was a relationship that was very physically and emotionally abusive, and I'm sure that there's things, the one thing that I'm going to talk about in this course is that we can never change other people. We can really only work on changing ourselves. And there is no right or wrong. There is simply what we allow to happen in our life and what we allow to happen in our energetic space. And so I was in a relationship for a very long time early on in my life that defined a lot of the beliefs that I believed about myself, that I was never pretty enough, that I was never good enough. This was a relationship where I was, cheated on several times, and it was really, really hard because this was someone that was my first love, and, lost my virginity to this person. So those were really core beliefs that I took on is, I'm not good enough. All these other girls that have X, Y, and Z factors are prettier than me. And so those were so many beliefs that I was taking on. I didn't even realize it, right? So then college comes, and it's like, I was the girl where it was like all of my roommates are just like, they were like naturally pretty and like fit, and literally like just stunning. And they would get ready in like 2 minutes, and it would take me like 2 hours to get ready because I just hated the person that I saw in the mirror. Because again, it was just, I was constantly reinstilling the belief in myself that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't fit enough, I wasn't smart enough. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 20 going on 21, so most of my life too, I learned differently than a lot of my friends and a lot of my peers. And I felt like what my friends were learning, it took me 10 times the effort to learn, right? So I always felt like I was just a misfit. I never really felt like I belonged or like I owned who I was. I was always also told that I was too much, right? By teachers, by, any sort of activity I was doing. I'm too loud, I talk too much, I have too much energy, I'm too this or I'm too that. And it really established a lot of negative beliefs that I had about myself. And just like I said earlier in this call, every pattern that we begin to live into from the age of 0 on, and guys, any of these beliefs, if you are listening to this right now and you are thinking about, oh, well, my mom told me this, or my mom told me that, or I heard this from so-and-so. No, our parents, they're always looking out for us, right? Like, none of these things are things that our parents or our loved ones have intentionally made us believe, right? Our subconscious is responsible for 99% of what we do on a daily basis. And our subconscious only wants to protect us. I'm going to be going through this training, and I'm kind of going to make your subconscious sound like an asshole, but it's really not. Your subconscious is your best friend, and your subconscious always has your best interests in mind. And that's why when at such a young and impressionable age, we're seeing, maybe your parents fight about finances, or, maybe your parents struggling in their relationship, or you have siblings that maybe are older than you and they're going through things in grade school, and you're seeing, their emotions and their reactions to that. And then you're taking that on as beliefs, and then you're living into those patterns because that's the only pattern that you understand, right? No one is to blame, right? Your subconscious is just here to protect you. And the amazing thing about the subconscious is that we have the ability to reprogram it. And it's not something that happens overnight, right? Because here we are. I'm assuming, your vibe attracts your tribe. I'm assuming most of the people that are tuning into this series are, of similar age, if not older. And so we're gonna really be trying to reprogram, 25 plus years of your life and shifting the belief from not good enough, or this is too much, or I can't do this because, or I'm not worthy of this because, and replacing those patterns with new positive beliefs so that we could start to create new activities or new actions every single day that are going to get you to a place in your life where you finally are able to truly believe that you are worthy of it. So when I'm going through this mini series, no one is to blame for any of these beliefs that you are holding. And I'm not going to sit here, and I hate saying that this work is not easy, because I never want to put out into the universe that this work is hard, but this work does take work. And if you work the work, it'll work for you. So after college, I actually met my daughter's father. We are no longer together, and we have a great relationship for our daughter. So, and I'm someone where I truly believe that I will never speak poorly of anyone in any of these situations, because we all learn from everyone around us. If someone is in your energetic space, whether you perceive it as good or bad, you are sharing a frequency with these people. And because they are in your energetic space, they are there for a reason, whether it is a lesson to be learned, whether it is a lesson for you to teach someone, or a lesson for them to teach you. We all have soul contracts with these people that are in our space. And whether we choose to believe that these people have had a negative or a positive impact on our life is all about perception. And this is where the super woo kind of comes in, because it is not easy to live in a state of forgiveness. It is not always easy to live in a state of seeing the glass half full. It is not always easy to believe, if not this, then something better. And it certainly is not always easy to believe that everything is working for us. I understand that there are things in life that we truly just can't understand, and we're not meant to know until we're meant to know it, right? Like, our God is a graceful God. Our universe is an abundant universe, but there are situations that happen in our lives that sometimes we don't have control over. And sometimes it can be really, really hard to look at every situation and choose to believe that it's going to work out, right? There were years of my life that I did not ever see a way out. There were years of my life that I put on a really good front on social media, but inside I was freaking the fuck out. Inside I was like, how the fuck am I going to do this? I am living below paycheck to paycheck, or I'm living into $29,000 worth of debt, and I can't see a way out, right? Like, there are so many things in our life where it can be really, really hard to see that there's something better on the other side. But that is where this work comes into play, because when I have things happen in my life now that are really bizarre, or maybe a lot of people look at these situations like, oh my God, that was really bad, or that person is an asshole, or whatever, I choose to believe that things are always happening for me. And I might not know what the answer is in that moment, but I choose to trust in God, and I choose to trust in the universe that it will always work out for my highest good and for the highest good of everyone involved. And that's why, as I'm going through this mini series, really being open to learning about yourself and doing the homework that I'm going to put in this mini series for you guys, so you can peel back the layers and, get comfortable with not only forgiving others, but forgiving yourselves, because ultimately forgiveness is a big barrier in love, right? So, like, if you have a hard time forgiving other people and you have a hard time forgiving yourself, that's a big energetic block. And forgiveness and love go hand in hand. And once you can learn to forgive yourself for things that you've done or believed or haven't done in the past, and you can learn forgiveness is not about them, guys. Like, and this is another thing in this mini series too. Like, if there are people in your life that you hold anger towards, whether it be these beliefs that are going to come up like, oh, well, my mom told me once that, like, I shouldn't wear that skirt to school because it made me look chubby, whatever, right? Choose to forgive, because it's not always for them. A lot of times it's for you. And then once you can work on you and fully accept who you are and the things that you have gone through, then you allow yourself to open up into an entirely new existence where life just gets to be so much fucking easier. I mean, I have people telling me every single day, like, oh my God, I cannot believe, like, how you handled this situation or this situation. And the truth of the matter is I give it all up to the universe. I give it all up to God. And I'm like, you know what, God? Like, one of my favorite quotes is, grace is where God fills in the gaps that you can't. It's an Amanda Frances quote, and I love it because it's so true, because that is where you just unwavering faith comes in and allows you to believe that everything is just going to work out for your highest good. So back to how I got to where I am now. So post-college, met my daughter's father. We moved in right away. I got into a downward spiral of, partying a lot, doing drugs, got myself in a lot of debt, was doing things like coke. And it was just like, it wasn't who I knew I wanted to be. But I was at a really tough place in my life where I was trying to fit myself into a box that I believed everyone else thought that I should fit in, because I was always told that I was too much, or that, I talk too much, or I have too much energy. And because, I wasn't the smartest person in class, that I would never amount to the things that I wanted to do. And I truly started to believe that. And I got, here's the, if not this, then something better. I actually got really, really sick. And this is where I know that kind of Jesus, God, the universe, angels, whatever you believe in. I'm spiritual, I'm also Christian, so I'll reference God a lot, but choose to take on the belief that serves you. But, I truly believe that was kind of like a come to Jesus moment, where he kind of stepped in and he was like, yo, homegirl, like, you got to get your shit together, because you have known your whole life that you were meant for more. And you might not know what that more is right now, but I do know that it's something that is so much bigger than where you are in this current moment. And so I dropped another like $2,000+ on medical bills, getting, EEGs, MRIs, just to find out that I had an autoimmune disease, which I am literally, it's insane, but I'm so grateful for this, because I stopped partying, I stopped doing drugs, I haven't touched a drug since, and now, I'm a recreational drinker, but I love my routine. I love eating whole foods every single day, and waking up to do my workouts, and feeling high vibe, and pouring into the energy that feels good to me, and not, waking up hungover every single day. So, needless to say, I ended up meeting my coach, who signed me up for Beachbody, which is the company that I partner with network marketing. And that's kind of what got me into running businesses online. And it wasn't always an easy journey, but I was still with my daughter's father. My daughter was a surprise. I found out I was pregnant with her, and I was not ready for that phase of life. But again, I just was like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this. Like, you turned my life around a year ago. I'm not doing drugs. And, now here I am a year and a half later, and you're going to just throw a child in my lap. Great. I was in a shit ton of debt. We had just bought a house that we were getting into even more debt. And it was just like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? So God gave me the most incredible daughter on the face of the earth, though I'm sure I am biased. And about 2 months after having her, I actually was able to make just enough with my network marketing business that I was able to go and put my notice in at my corporate job and stay home with my daughter. So what I was making with my network marketing business was matching what I was making at my corporate job, so I could stay home with my daughter. And I continued to see my income increase with that, to the point where I was actually able to quit my other 2 part-time jobs a year and a half later, because of the income from that opportunity. And I was just so incredibly grateful for it. But then at some point, I got to the point where I was so focused on the dangly carrot, and I was so focused on, I've been a coach now for 4 years, so I should be making this amount of money, or I should be at that accolade, or I should be doing X, Y, and Z. And I really started to resent my business, and I really started to lose the love that I had for helping others, because I lost sight of my why, right? I lost sight of the fact that this was the answer that changed my life 4 years ago. This was the answer that God placed in my lap that said, hey, you are the voice that can share this conviction that says, you don't have to let your past define where you are right now, and you sure as hell don't have to let your past actions define where you're going, right? Like when I signed up as a coach and as a network marketer, I didn't do it, just because I wanted to make these, have these massive accolades, right? I didn't even know what those accolades were when I first started. All I knew is that I wanted to create a life by design for myself and for my future family, right? And I also wanted women who were maybe going through the shit that I was going through, or maybe have gone through shit that I'd gone through before, to know that those past circumstances, those past beliefs do not have to serve them, or do not have to define where they're going, right? It does not have to serve their highest good, that they could choose to rewrite all of those negative beliefs and do something even greater with their life, right? Like whether it was with a program, whether it was just with me being their friend, I wanted them to know there were people in their corner. So that's how I got involved in that. Unfortunately, my daughter's father, he was sober for 2.5 years. Unfortunately, there was some things that happened. And I just realized that was a relationship that really wasn't serving, the highest good of myself, or for my daughter, or for the dreams that I saw for her and I. So in January of 2019, I decided to leave that relationship. You know, and every single day I write down why I'm grateful for my daughter's father, right? And we have a very great relationship. Like, despite everything that goes on, whether it be with custody and visitation, I choose to be grateful for him because he was the other half of what gave me like the biggest blessing in my life, right? So that's kind of how I got to where I am now. 3 months after leaving him, I actually had a call with my mentor who's on this right now. Oh my gosh, this is so many people on. Hey Shay, hey Tyler, hey Kate, hey Corinne, hey Marley. So Marley, hey Jess. So my mentor Marley was actually on this. She's actually now I call her my business bestie because we actually launched courses together as well. I had reached out to her in October of 2018. And it was a few months before I decided to leave my daughter's father, and I was in the worst place of my life, really financially at that point. I was $29,000 in debt. I was barely able to make the minimum payments on my credit card. I was doing the kind of fake it till you make it life, right? So that's what, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially on social media, are told, you know, fake it till you make it. And I was like, I can't fake this shit anymore. Like, I am done. Like, I was like, I am so fucking done living this life. Like, I need an answer. Like, I need someone to help me. And so I reached out to her, and my first investment with her was a one-on-one. And my one-on-one for 1 month with her was literally more than my mortgage payment. And I was like, shit, how am I going to afford this? But I just literally remember thinking, like, this is my comeback moment. Like, I can choose to literally say, fuck it, and quit everything that I've done for the past 4 years and go back to waitressing or go back to a corporate job. I can say, fuck it, and like literally just ignore God's purpose on my life and turn around and say, this isn't working for me anymore. Or I can try something new, something that I've never done before, and I can choose to see things differently and learn from it. And so within like 3 months of working with her, I was doing less work in my business because I was like literally like burning myself into the ground, trying to make ends meet and just working 7 days a week, 16 plus hour days on my business. And it was actually going backwards. And so, you know, within working with her, I was able to do like half of the amount of work I was doing and still maintain the income that I was seeing, but also now I was starting to attract more of my people. And by sharing my journey and everything that she had me doing, which is kind of how I got into this, you know, spiritual awakening. And yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I'm spiritual. I've never felt closer to God in my entire life than when I leaned into my spirituality, because it all started to make sense to me. Right? It all started to make sense that everything is interconnected, that everything that we do, think, believe, see, hear, and believe that we are capable of doing is all interconnected, right? Every person, everything, every opportunity has a reason, right? So within working with her, I started to attract like more of me. And she's like, Jessica, do you know that like in the past couple of months of just you sharing on my stories, I've like signed up 7 clients? And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So within that, like 6 months after I had left my daughter's father, and it was April of 2019. I remember I had this phone call with her, and I will share it on my social media. I have a big business goal, and when that business goal happens, I'm going to release this video to the public because it is the ugliest Kim Kardashian cry you will ever see in your entire life. Because I said, Marley, I said, when the fuck is my life going to get easier? I'm like, you know, I've seen all of these changes kind of happen over time, and I'm like, but it's just not where I feel like I need to be. I'm like, I'm now a single mom with now just my income. I have to go home and like pay a mortgage and you know, pay my bills and do all of these things. And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to freaking do it. And she's like, Jessica, she's like, have you forgotten how far you've come? She goes, the person that you were a year and a half ago would give, not even a year and a half ago, a year ago, would give anything to be the person that you are today. She goes, look at everything that you've overcome and how many lives you have changed by sharing your story. And just simply by believing in who you are and where you know that you are going, you have paved the way for so many other people who didn't believe that they were worthy of it and now believe and think that they are. And she was like, you know, what have you, she was like, I have seen so many clients because of you sharing your journey with gratitude, raising your frequency, manifesting more abundance in your life, reprogramming your subconscious. Like, have you considered doing a course like this? And I was like, well, what qualifies me to run a course like you run, right? She goes, everything qualifies you. God qualifies you. And so it kind of stuck with me for a week. And then literally a week later, I hopped on a call with her and I said, you know what, we're doing it. and and literally said, I'm filling out 8 spots for my course. This is going to be the price. This is going to be the name. I had not created a single module for my course, and within a month of announcing it, I had filled up my first course, and I had my first 5-figure launch, which literally still, again, blows my mind. So that's a little bit about how I got to where I am now. And then 2019 was just a year of freaking insane magic, guys. And I learned more about myself in 2019 than I probably have in my entire life because, again, I did the work. So if you guys have not had your pens and paper out at this time, you guys don't worry. This will be in the group, so you guys can catch the recording as well. I'm also going to make sure you guys can get an email of the recap of this as well if you guys are at work and maybe you can't have the volume on. But before we go any further, I want you guys to drop in the comments, what are some negative beliefs that you have about yourself? So is there, do you believe, maybe you're someone where you want to start a business, but you believe that you can't because of, X, Y, and Z, or maybe, you look in the mirror every single day and you don't say the nicest things to yourself. What are some of the negative beliefs that you guys have about yourself? Drop that in the comments. Because this is where we're going to start to do the work. Because the most important thing that you are going to realize with everything that I do as a mindset mentor, I like to call myself a magic maker, is that in order for us to get to where we want to go, we have to break down where we were. Right? Because this is how we're going to bridge the gap. And bridging the gap is probably of the top 5 things that I talk about is probably one of my favorite because that is really how I got to where I am today, is by breaking down my past beliefs, filling them with a new belief and affirming it every single day, and then taking the action consistently over time to get to where I am right now, which is ultimately harvesting the energy that's going to get me to where I want to go, right? So we have to break down those negative beliefs first. And our subconscious, like I said, is the most powerful driving force of everything that we do. When I have my clients say, I am going to use my willpower to eat healthy every single day of the week, or I'm going to use my willpower to complete this workout program start to finish, or I'm going to use my willpower to show up every single day for my business, or for whatever it is in their life. Our willpower is the conscious part of our mind, which is literally responsible for 1% of what we do on a daily basis. So you can only imagine that if your subconscious says you're not worthy of it, because maybe over the course of the last 10 years, every time you've tried to, eat healthy, you've always, failed. Every time you've tried to start a workout program, you've failed. Every time you've tried to establish a better connection with your spouse or significant other, you've failed, right? So you've created a negative pattern, a negative belief system that is now ingrained in your subconscious. So your subconscious is on autopilot and it's saying you're not worthy of it. So 99% of you is saying you're not good enough, and 1% of you is saying I'm going to use my willpower to do it. You can see where there's a disconnect, right? So the number one thing that we need to do first is break down the negative belief. And so when we break down the negative belief, what we ultimately are doing is deciding if this belief is ultimately true. So ask yourself, is it ultimately true that every single person on the planet has not ever started and completed a workout program? Is it ultimately true that every single person on the planet has not started a nutrition program and finished it? Is it ultimately true that every single person on the planet does not have a good relationship with their significant other, right? So you break down what the negative belief is. Then we refill, we actually fill that void. So when we break down a belief, when we identify what it is, and then we say, nah, that's not ultimately true, we've now created a gap, okay? And that gap is what we call the void. I like to call it space because space creates abundance, but that space needs to be filled with something, right? So that's where affirmations come in, and that's where you say, I am worthy of completing and finishing a fitness program. I am worthy of having an incredible relationship with my significant other, right? So that's where the affirmation comes into play, right? So we have to fill the void with something positive. And then because we've affirmed the negative for so long, we can't just affirm the positive one time and expect our subconscious to be like, yeah, that's right, everything's hunky-dory. No, we've affirmed the negative for so long. Now that we've broken the pattern and put a new belief, a new positive belief in there, it only makes sense that we have to affirm the positive belief over and over and over and over again, right? It's muscle memory, it's a repetition. It's literally deciding to wake up every single day and say, every time that mean girl comes in your head and says, nope, I'm not gonna be able to do it, your higher level self says, fucking out, girlfriend, you're worthy of this shit, right? And affirming it. So every time the negative belief comes in, reaffirming it with the positive. Because we're human, those negative beliefs are gonna pop in. Okay, so let's see here. Oh my God, so many comments. Give us Kim K, Marley says. Yeah, that was the last big shedding. I want to open up a storefront, but I don't believe I have enough time for it. Okay, so this is a great one. Time is something that we make up, right? So actually, one of my favorite sayings, my mentor talks about this a lot as well, is that the biggest expense that you are ever going to have in your life is not anything that involves money. Have you ever spent your last dollar? Have you ever put $1 out and then not seen another dollar come back? Even when I was in the negative, I would still see money come in, right? Like I was still like somewhat able to like put money and circulate energy out to the universe, right? The biggest expense that we'll ever have in our life is the expense of time, right? Because if we choose to believe that we don't have enough time, we are going to actually create a physical reality for ourselves that time speeds up and we slow down. Flick the belief. If we choose to believe that we have more than enough time, time actually slows down and we speed up. It seems counterintuitive, but once we slow our mind down and say, everything is good, I'm always supported, if not this, then something better. God put this conviction on my heart for a reason. And here's the thing with that, Jessica. Not a single person on this planet has the same vision as you. God convicted you with that vision, right? Like no one on this planet has the same subconscious imprinting as another person on this planet. Like the vision that you have for your storefront in your mind, not a single other soul in this universe has that. God convicted that to you, right? So it only makes sense that you play it out and you play out full out, play full the fuck out, right? Because like you're the person with that vision. Like ain't nobody else in this universe have that vision, right? So you have it for a reason, which means that when you choose to believe that you're going to have enough time to do it, God will make a way for that to happen, right? So we actually, in time is all, literally think about it. Some group of people decided, what, hundreds of thousands of years ago that like the day was going to be 24 hours, that there was going to be 12 months in a year. And but like we could decide today as a society that like days are going to be 16 hours, right? Like time is made up. We decide how much time that we have, right? It's literally all perception. So if we choose to believe that we have more than enough time, our physical space will actually slow down and we will actually speed up. So choose to believe, and we'll go through this in the homework because I'm going to actually give you guys a process to go through and journal this out. Katie says, I have a belief that people don't care about what I have to say. I feel invisible. Ooh, also a really good one. You know, kind of the opposite of what I went through my whole life is that I was always told I was too loud. Actually, my senior superlative was talks the most, says the least. And here I am now mentoring people on how to create more magic in their lives, and I've actually proven that that superlative is like literally the biggest crock of bullshit, right? Like I actually laugh when I hear it now because I'm like, that's funny. Because I actually now mentor hundreds of people on their mindset and have like hundreds of people to prove that this work works, right? So if you like flip the belief. So everything always comes back to you. So you're a mirror and your physical space is a mirror, right? If you have a lesson that the world needs to hear or something comes into your mind and you're like, oh my, a perfect example of this is the other day. I said in the beginning of this call, I bleed Beachbody Blue. I will forever and always bleed Beachbody Blue. I love it. I don't think there's anything out in the world that can change lives, health and fitness wise, like Beachbody can. I truly hands down believe that. But I did a story the other day and I remember I was like talking to God. I'm like, God, I cannot share this on my Instagram story. Like I'm gonna piss off some coaches in the network when I share this story. But for whatever reason, every time I tried to like talk God out of it, he was like, nah, you got to share this story. You got to share this story, right? Because in my mind, I was like, people, there are going to be coaches in the network that do not want to hear this. They're going to be pissed off by it. They're not going to care about what I have to say, right? And I did it anyways. And the amount of messages that I have gotten from other coaches in the network who were going through some really tough shit and needed to hear that message that day, like brought me to tears. They were like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that message today because I felt like I was not good enough. I've felt like a piece of shit, X, Y, and Z for X amount of months because I've been led to believe that because I'm not doing these certain things that I'm not good enough, right? When you have a mission on your heart, when there's something that like the world needs to hear from you, that is of God. Like that is the biggest thing that I think I tell everyone is like, you've been blessed with this mission. Only you have been blessed with the things that you want the world to know. Share them. Play full out. Be so freaking loud that the people who don't, you know what? And there are going to be people that maybe they don't want to hear it, right? Those people aren't your people. Play so loud that you push the people out of your space that don't energetically need to be there, and that you call the people who do need to be there in, right? Courtney says, I'm not worthy of success in an easy life. Danielle says, I want to be a beachbody coach, but people decide ultimately not to sign up with me. Everyone's going to laugh like I'm a joke. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll feel embarrassed. Failure is scary and feels like an embarrassment to try just to fail. Also, my willpower is terrible for nutrition. I'm not perfect. How I can help people better themselves when I'm still fixing myself. Okay, Jessica, this is also great. So we're going to talk about failure is scary and feels like an embarrassment. Oh, I am right there with you, right? I was talking earlier in this call, you know, one thing that so many entrepreneurs, you know, on social media are told is fake it till you make it. And honestly, like now I'm like, I could not think that is like further from the truth, right? Because we are going through what we're going through to help our people know that there's a solution, right? So when we are going through a certain circumstance, when we choose to show up every single day believing that it is going to turn out for the better, no matter what, we are paving the way for people that are going through similar or the same things to know that they can do it and come out better too, right? So that's something that I, you know, and it takes, you know, it still takes me time to, you know, like today I did an Instagram story and like my hair was a hot mess and I looked greasy and gross and I was like, I really don't even want to talk about my Instagram stories right now because like I look like a hot mess, but like I drew a line in the sand actually this year and I said, nah, fuck it. My people, they're going to get like real raw, like first take, that's it bullshit, right? And it's, you know, I still have days where I'm like, you know, maybe I'm like, okay, I'm going to do take 2 on that. But 9 times out of 10, I do it on take 1 and I'm like, you know what? Because this is what people need to see. People need to see that I don't always have my makeup on my face and I'm not always put together. People need to see that like there's a lot of days where I have greasy hair, I'm exhausted, my kid is running around making a mess, I'm frustrated, I'm, you know, I have like lack patience. Like people need to see the real raw side of that, right? And people also need to see the failures because ultimately that's how we learn, right? We learn by going through failure, right? Like you are never going to get to another level of your existence if you just choose to play it safe because you're afraid to fail, right? Because that's exactly why you are where you are right now is because you're not going out of your comfort zone because you're afraid that if you go out of your comfort zone, you're gonna fail. I have failed so many freaking times, and guess what? Because of my failures, I am now like sitting here today being like, I am so fucking happy that I failed. Because if I did not fail, if I did not get to the point where I was literally on my freaking knees sobbing, having a Kim K cry with my mentor on the phone, I would have never launched Next Level Magic and I would never have walked into the person that I am today and be living full out, not giving a fuck about what the rest of the world thinks, right? Like I literally, and here's the thing, is like you care to a certain extent, like care about what the right people think. Care about what the right people think because the right people in your space, they're rooting for you to rise to the top, but they also know that there's probably going to be a point when you fall flat on your face, and those are the people that are going to be there to pick you up and keep you going, right? So care about what the right people think. And my willpower is terrible. Okay, so yes, so with willpower, that all comes down to reprogramming the subconscious, right? Your past patterns do not have to define the future patterns that you're going to live into, right? And that's all about rewriting your own story. Crystal says, I fear becoming an entrepreneur because I will be fully seen by others. Yes, that is definitely scary. And also just one of those things where I really had to get comfortable with worry about what the right people think. Worry about what my people need to hear, right? Service the people where your people are at. And here's the most amazing thing about that is when you show up as your full authentic self and you choose to fully live into who you are and own who you are 100%, you start to call in your people, right? And the amazing thing is that over the last 6 years, there are some people that have since joined my team, joined my challenges, and have also done my mindset mentorship who I once was the most worried about seeing what I did, right? I thought that they were going to be the most judgmental, and there were some that were the most judgmental, right? Like, I have people in my life now that, like, there was a time in our life where we both hated each other, right? Like, one of my top coaches, she was one of my sister's best friends growing up. We did not like each other growing up, right? But I worked on myself, and she saw the changes, and now her and I, like, we freaking vibe like no other, right? Like, I'm like, you are my freaking person, right? Like, and that all stems back to working on yourself, raising your frequency and forgiveness. But it also is one of these things where it's like, you know, felt like, serve your people. Like, yes, you're going to be seen, but you're going to be seen by all the people that need you to be seen, right? So, like, one of my favorite things that I tell all of my clients is I have this really strong opinion about, like, when people tell someone that they need they need to play more average, right? So when my clients say, like, oh, I feel like, you know, this is, like, too greedy to want this, or that, you know, like, believing in this is, like, too much, like, you know, people, you know, so and so said that, like, you know, what's wrong with, like, just having, like, a normal job? I tell people, you run so fucking far away and so fucking fast from people that tell you to play average. Because here's the shit with people that tell you to play average. The people that tell you to play average are the people that as soon as you get up from the table, those are the exact same people that are talking shit about you as soon as you leave, right? Those are the people that, you know, when they tell you you're too much, that, oh, why don't you just settle for a normal job? Or, like, you know, why do you think that, like, everyone needs to do this? Or, like, you know, whatever, like, it is, like, that, you know, when people are kind of making you feel like you need to play small, right? Or, like, that fear of being seen as, like, if people see who I truly am, if people see what I truly want, they're gonna think that it's like I'm selfish or I'm greedy or, you know, my life is too much. Run so far away from people that tell you to play average, because those are the people that are talking shit about you when you get up from the table. What you do is play so fucking loud, so fucking proud, because again, God convicted this purpose on your life. Ain't nobody on this planet qualifies you more than God, right? And you run towards the people that are telling you that your level of loud, like, yeah, girl, you're playing loud. I hear you. You're not playing loud enough. I know you can play bigger. Those are the people that you run to, because those are the people that are cheering you on, that are going to be not only waiting for you at the finish line, they're going to be in the they're going to be running the marathon with you. They're going to be in the trenches with you, right? And then what that's going to do is that's going to give you the confidence to create your own table and have your own chairs at your table that create the space for your people to come in. Your people aren't going to know that you're there if you're playing small. Your people aren't going to know that you're there if you're afraid of being seen. Your people need to know that you're there waiting for them, that you are giving them permission. Hey, girl, this is my fucking table. I made this table just for you. Here's your chairs. Come sit with me. I got you. People need that shit. People need that shit in your life. So, Crystal, this is so good. Thank you, girl. Marley Ansel, you got that right. I'm doing it. Fear doesn't have to control me. Amen. Woo! Hallelujah. Felt that one. So true. I'm a fish lady. I want a fish store. I want to create amazing proteins and meals based on seafood. Hey, Taryn. Hey, Danielle. Jess, I freaking love that. Marley preach. Jessica, I also want to start a group or page Facebook that educates people on seafood and protein. Girl, you got this, girlfriend. Like, ooh, that homework. That's gonna be good for you. Those people are trying to tear you down, put them out. They are boxing your potential. Yes, Taryn. So true. Those are people who are afraid to chase their own dreams. Taryn Smith. Oh, yes. Crystal. Yeah, I'm so ready for sure. I'm so done with playing small. I don't feel like being boxed in either. Freedom is here. Yes. Yes. Hallelujah. A freaking man. All right. I'm fired up. Do you guys feel it? Because I feel it. I'm like, oh, all right, let me take a sip of this. Okay, let's see where I'm at. Okay. So we talked a little bit about breaking those negative beliefs, creating the void, filling that void with something positive, right? Because where there's a void, there's space, and where there's space is room for creation. And where there's room for creation, there's room for abundance, right? And then we just affirm over time the positive belief, because we have to affirm the positive belief to reprogram over the negative beliefs that we said, peace the fuck out, bye, Felicia. Okay, so that was part one. Part two is we have to get crystal clear on identifying who we want to become. And this is, you know, a practice where, you know, Marley and I actually just did a workshop in January all about living into your vision. And this was the catalyst of change when I started working with Marley, and when I started working with my mentor, because this This was the missing link because I didn't even know what I wanted, right? I thought that I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't even see myself in the picture, right? I couldn't even see my highest self because I was just like so focused on like doing all the things and getting the accolades that I was like, you know, are these things that I really even want? Like what do I actually want? So I had to get really clear on who I wanted to become. So I had to name my next level self. I had to paint this really detailed picture of, you know, what do I look like? What do I do on a daily basis? What do I earn, right? And guys, drop this below too in the comments, you know, who do you want to become? You know, what does she look like? If you could do anything in the entire world and not fuck it up, what would you do? It could be, I want to be a bomb-ass stay-at-home mom. It could be, I want to be a bomb-ass freaking housewife and I want to travel the world with my husband. It can be, I want to start a multiple six-figure, I want to start a seven-figure business. If you could not fuck it up, what would you do? Drop that in the comment. So you have to identify who you want to become. You have to name her and you have to know, what does she do? What does she look like? What does she earn? Okay, so here's where I was before, right? I was $29,000 in debt, barely even able to make my minimum payments on my credit cards, right? Literally burnt out, exhausted as fuck, working 7 days a week, 16 plus hours, and watching my business go backwards, right? Past level Jess, over here. Higher level Jess gets on a call with her mentor, and mentor says, where do you want your business? Where do you see yourself in a year? And I said, well, I see myself as being a six-figure earner, elite coach, doing X, Y, and Z, yada, 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 yada. And she's like, okay. She goes, what does an elite coach in your organization look like? What does someone who is successful look like to you? What does a rich person look like to you? So I painted this picture to my mentor of like, oh, you know, she has like a perfect messy bun, like what you'd see on Pinterest. She's blonde. You know, she drives a Range Rover, which that is on my vision board, but like, you know, drives a white Range Rover. Like, you know, I was like, I feel like they wear like matching pajama sets because I feel like that's just like what all like rich people do. You know, and I like painted her this picture and she was like, Jessica, what color freaking hair do you have? Brown. And she goes, okay, how do you expect you over here to get over here? She goes, you don't even see yourself in the fucking picture. How do you expect to get there? She's like, you have painted yourself so far out of that picture that there's no way in how you're ever going to achieve it until you learn to believe that that's you in that picture. Once you know wholeheartedly that that is your freaking self in that picture, then you'll get there. She goes, but until you get crystal clear on what it is that you want, what you do, what you like to do, what you talk like, what you sound like, what you're going to teach the world, what you earn. She goes, you are never going to get there because right now you're the total opposite. You have created a massive disconnect with where you are now and where you want to go. So I started this process and it's all about bridging the gap. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify where you are right now. Okay, so you're going to identify, you know, certain things that you do on a daily basis. You know, what does your finances look like? What are things that you do for self-care? How long do you work on your business during the week? How often are you spending time with your significant other? How long are you, how often are you doing things with your friends? And there's a whole list of things that we're going to identify what your current standards are, right? Then we're going to see, okay, what does your next level self do, right? We're going to name her and then we're going to say, okay, what does she look like? And you're going to paint that picture. So then we're going to take the difference of the two and we're going to say, okay, this is where you are. This is where you want to go. How can we start to bring those, some of those future things into the present, right? Because, and I'm gonna make a business analogy right now. Then I'll bring it back to relationships and love. Is something that I was doing was my highest version of me only works 5 days a week. And the week, 2 days a week unplugs and is with her family and like literally is just like not freaking worried about the messages in her inbox or having to respond right away, right? Which I've gotten really freaking good at that. Like there are days, actually I messaged someone back the other day, I was like, I'm so sorry. Actually I did not say sorry. I said, thank you so much for being patient, because I always affirm things in the positive. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Typical mom life over here only took 4 days for me to get back to you, right? Because in my mind, it's like, no, my family, it's first. And for the longest time, that doesn't mean I don't take massive freaking action. I take massive action. I think every single one of you in this group, like you guys know I show the fuck up, right? Because it's like, I love what I do, right? Like I love taking massive action. But there's a difference between taking action out of abundance and then like hustling out of fear, right? There's scarcity-based hustling, and then there's like abundance hustling, right? And so I was over here and I was hustling my ass into the ground freaking 7 days a week. I always say 8 days a week, because that's what it felt like. 7 days a week, but then I wanted to get over here where like my highest level self, she works only 5 days a week, and then the other 2 days is like doing whatever the fuck she wants. You can't expect to get here if you're over here, right? You cannot clean your way to the next level, right? You cannot hustle your way to the next level. They don't even operate on the same frequency, right? This is a low vibration over here, hustling out of scarcity. This is a very high vibration over here, like taking massive action out of abundance and having a really balanced life. The two don't even energetically meet on a playing field, right? So let's take that into like, you know, self-love, right? If you are someone who like, maybe you're struggling with, we're going to use the term, maybe we are struggling with wanting to build muscle, right? Because I feel like this one is one where it's like, it's a good overall term, right? If you're someone that's over here and you are not working out at all, you're maybe working out 2 days a week, right? And you eat relatively healthy, but you're over here and you're like, okay, I really want to put on like, we'll say for women, I want to put on 2 pounds of muscle, okay? Your highest level self is over here. You're like, you know, I have defined abs. I'm really healthy. I'm eating super clean. And she works out 6 days a week, eats, you know, a nice 80-20 or 90-10 lifestyle. But you're over here where you're like, you know, you eat clean, but you're working out 2 days a week, right? How do we bridge the gap, right? Like, how do we learn? Like, first of all, we have to love where we are right now. You have to thank the person that you are right now, because she is the person that's strong enough of handling the idea that she wants to grow into more, right? Thank her and love her so much, because all of her beliefs have gotten her to where she is right now. So we have to love her and thank her first, right? Because we can never get to a higher elevation of love if we're doing everything out of self-loathing, right? If you're like choosing to like look in the mirror and still not like what you see every single day. And like, that's just gonna give you more and more guilt, or give you more and more fear-based action. And that fear-based action is not an abundant action. It's not an abundant, action. It's of a lower vibration, right? Everything has so much more power to it when it comes from a higher vibration. So we feed everything with love. We thank her with love, right? And the way that we do that is every single day we just affirm what we love about ourselves, right? If you don't believe, you know, like right now where you are in this situation, if you're not loving what you see in the mirror, we still find 3 things that we're proud of, right? I love my smile. I love that I'm kind, you know, that I have a kind heart. And I love that people feel like they can come to me with things, right? Every single day, look in the mirror and affirm things that you already know that you love about yourself, right? Or here's a good business one. If you want to go do something with your life and you're like, oh my God, I want to do this, 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 and this. And then the first thing that comes back in your mind is, but I can't do it, X, Y, and Z. Stop right there in that moment and replace that negative bullshit, mean girl talk with 3 things that you once thought in your life that you were not capable of doing, and you've already done it, and you've done it with ease, right? There was a point in our life where we didn't even, like, there was a point when we were like, 5 years old, where like the thought of like our parents taking our training wheels off our bicycle was like astronomically insane. Like, you're gonna do what? And we did it, right? We didn't believe that it was possible then, but we did it, right? There was a point when none of us knew how to swim, right? You're gonna throw us in the water and you're gonna expect me to freaking not die? There was a point where we didn't think that was possible, but we did it, right? And it could be as simple as those things, right? So we have to feed everything with love, and we never want to do it out of a scarcity-based low vibration, right? So feed her with love. Thank her every single day. Thank her right now for the realization of wanting more. There are so many people in their life that don't even want more, right? Right? Thank her for wanting more. Thank her for being like, you know what? You a boss ass bitch. You're gonna have a nice 6-pack of abs. So then feed her with love every single day, and then take the action to match. Take the action to match the vibration, right? So then if right now you're only working out 1 or 2 days a week, but your highest level of you works out 6 days a week, maybe we bump this up to 3 days a week consistently, right? Once we master 3 days, now we bump it up to 4. Once we bump it up to 4, take that, you know, that's consistent over time. Now you're starting to see the change, right? All of a sudden, 5, and guys, here's how everything works. All motivation is movement, right? So people ask me all the time, how are you so motivated to work out every single day? Y'all, there are days where I'm not motivated to work out at freaking all. You know what I am motivated by though? Freaking results. And that's why I take massive fucking action, because I might not see the action or the results accumulating over time in a week, but over the course of a month, over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, I look back, I'm like, holy shit, right? Because we don't just decide one day that like, oh, I'm gonna have a 6-pack of abs and like wake up the next day and they're there. No, we wake up every single day and we get to choose again to live into the person that we want to become. It is a daily action. It is a daily decision. It is a daily choice to show up as your highest level self, right? Tony Robbins didn't just wake up one day as like one of the top best motivational speakers in the world. Nah, he has a bomb ass story. He has a pretty awesome rock bottom, right? He just decided to show up every single day as the person that he wanted to be, right? So our identifying who you want to become and getting a really crystal clear version on her is super important. So identify where you are now, identify the crystal clear version of who you want to become, name her, get super specific on what does she do, what does she look like, what does she earn, and then we're going to bridge the gap, and that'll be in your homework as well. So that was part 2. So part 1 was, break down the negative beliefs about yourself that do not serve you, and then number 2 is identify who you want to become. So we're going to set those standards of where we are now and then where we want to go, right? I'm going to read some of these before I go on to the last part of this. Yes. Hell yeah, Crystal. We have church today. Ryder said, give us the missing link. And actually, I'm going to pull this up on my screen because my phone just died. Of course, that's okay. Here for it. It's just because it wants me to scroll through the comments on here. Okay. Oh, Crystal, it's because it's your name. I never apologize for the if that is you. Yes, girl. I want to feel free, financial, and in my job. I don't want to feel like a slave to someone else. I'd like to be physiotherapist assistant, part-time, personal trainer, life coach, beachbody coach. I want to live in a city. Oh my God, this is so great. Oh my gosh, I love this. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to be an amazing influencer about what my diet is and how I eat, all based on seafood that I sell, would help me sell my seafood in subscription boxes. I want to earn more than 6 figures. How freaking yeah you do. I want that 7-figure income, and I want to be able to say that I did it. The income that I want is all because of what I want, and that I have to put that into this world. Yes, a freaking man. Okay, so then the last part of this is celebrating the fuck out of who you want to become. Celebration is the key to growing into where you want to be, right? Because wanting is a lack mentality. So when we want something, we're actually affirming that we don't have it. So something that I do every single day is I have a celebration party with myself. And you guys, if you follow my Instagram stories, you'll know that I have a dance party over literally freaking everything, right? Like starting a workout program, having a dance party. Halfway during my workout, want to quit on my repetitions, I have a dance party. When I sit my ass down in my chair every single day to work my business, I have a dance party. And here's why. Because when we celebrate what we don't already have, we actually create a new neural pathway that says, like, okay, so let me break this down. We decide who we want to be, right? We're saying, this is the person I want to become. We're going to celebrate that, right? So however you guys choose to celebrate, drop in the comments, guys, what is one way that you like to celebrate? Like, do you like to dance? Do you like to sing? Like, what feels like high vibe to you? Like, for me, one of my favorite things ever is like when I'm driving in the car and like I have like these moments of like just like pure clarity, right? Like I'll be driving in the car and I'll just look out, and I live in a small town, but I live in the country and I'm literally obsessed with it. And like I will just like have these moments where it's like I look out and I'm just like, holy fucking shit, like we are so abundant. Like God gave us this canvas to live in. Like this is cool. Like this is freaking straight up magic, right? So I have these moments of like intense clarity, or like this intense like just gratitude over the life that we live, right? And like all of a sudden I'm just like, you know what? We need Luke. We need to throw on some Luke Combs, right? So I throw on Luke Combs, because that's my boy. Luke Combs is my boy. And like literally have a freaking dance party in the car, right? And I celebrate the life that I'm already living, right? Because we have to be super grateful too for where we are now, right? So we have to be grateful for every single thing that we have in our life right now. Even if it feels uncomfortable, we have to be grateful for it. Because the energy that we have right now is the energy of creation that's gonna get us to where we want to go, right? So we have to celebrate the life that we're living right now. And that just comes with gratitude and having immense love and joy and appreciation for everything that's going on in your life right now and everything you already have and everything that you've already done, right? Bring that energy. So everything comes down to 51%, okay? 51% living in gratitude, 51% living in joy, 51% feeling abundant. 51%, forget everything is 51%, right? Because if you're living in 49% joy and 51% like I hate my fucking life, well, you're never going to get to where you want to go, right? You're just like living in a really low vibration. So we got to flip it, right? So we got to do the actions every single day to get us in a higher vibration. So we do that by being grateful for everything that we have right now. So celebrate what we have right now. And then harvest that energy. So take note of like what that energy feels like, right? Think about everything that you want to create in your life and celebrate it as if it's already happened, right? So when I have something that I do, and I do this during my workouts too, is like whenever I like get to a point in my workout where I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do this, or like I'm done, like I don't want to do another rep, I have my vision board. Like my office and my gym are one and the same. And I will look at my vision board and I will literally tell my brain, Jessica, if you could just do these last 2 reps, you can do anything in your fucking life, like anything that you want, right? And I will just remember that feeling of like immense gratitude and joy. And I don't care if I'm in the middle of freaking doing a burpee, I will drop down and get my freaking eagle on girl and freaking remind myself what I'm worthy of. Because every time I have a dance party, I've created a new neural pathway in my brain that says every time Jessica dances, she knows that she's worthy, right? Because I rewrote a pattern for myself. So every time I dance, I literally like tell my brain, you're worthy of this shit. Like you got it, right? It raises my vibration, so I stay there, right? And then I boss out those last few reps and I'm like, boom, I'm a freaking badass. Ain't nobody touching this shit. I'm conquering the world. 2020, look out, because Jess Lynn, she's fucking some shit up in a real good, massive way, right? So step 3 of that is bringing in celebration to everything. What you already have and what you're called to live into. Okay, see a couple more comments in here. Yes, Katie, celebration is freaking key. So find a way that feels really good to you. So if you're someone who likes to sing in the shower, or have a dance party, or freaking brush your shoulder off. Maybe your way of celebrating is like telling someone you love them, giving them a hug. Whatever it is that feels good to you and like raises your vibration is celebration, right? We always just want to, and the longer that we stay in that high vibration, that's how manifestation works too. We're constantly manifesting everything we want in our life, right? Everything that we want in our life has been manifested, or everything that's happened in our life, we've manifested. Whether we view it as good or bad, we've manifested it. It's just we've decided what frequency we're going to operate on, right? So all manifestation is literally acknowledging, deciding what you want, and choosing to step in to that energetic connection and live on that frequency, right? So the longer that you stay on that frequency, the longer that you celebrate on that frequency, the more likely you are to call it in, right? Live in the moment and show love for your desired up level. Yes, so true. Trauma is necessary for my soul. It is so necessary for my soul. And freaking men. So yes, like that's all that manifestation is too, is like literally just choosing to live in a higher vibration, right? So the person that I am today, right? I grew into the person that I am today, right? Like a year and a half ago, past level Jess Lynn would have never been able to get through the obstacles that she went through, right, with as much grace that I did. And so many people will say things like, successful people, they don't have problems. Nah, successful people, they have problems. They've elevated into a new frequency of existence, right? So a year and a half ago, I would have never been able to harvest the success that I have now because I had to grow into the person that was capable of holding on to that level of success, right? Whether it's, choosing to delegate more, hiring an assistant, having a babysitter, right? Those are all things that a year and a half ago, past level Jess wasn't in a place financially to do, right? But she also wasn't in an energetic vibration to do it, right? So there was a disconnect. So I had to find little ways to bring that future vibration in. So it was, little things like, asking a friend to help with my daughter so that I could, get a little bit of work done here and there. Or, maybe taking some things off my plate that didn't serve me and saying, hey, I'm really struggling to get these things done. Is there any way that you can help me do that? And then slowly stepping out of my comfort zone and hiring a virtual assistant. And then eventually getting to the point where it was I hired a sitter for 1 day a week and then for 2 and now for 3, right? So all of those things where it's I had to energetically grow into that person. How we send this all back to self-love is also let's go back to my relationship, right? So a year and a half ago, I was at a point in my life where I knew the relationship that I was in was not serving my highest good, right? And we can never change another person. We can only work on ourselves, right? And so by me doing the work on myself, I raised my frequency that basically was like, okay, you know that you are worthy of this, and this. What does not energetically match? What is no longer a match for your frequency, right? And I never want to say that, you know, because like people take it as like, oh my God, well, my spouse isn't supportive, so like if he's not supportive and I raise my frequency, that means that like he gets to do. Absolutely not. No. You know, in the core of your existence, who your soul, like who your soulmate is, right? You know at the core of your existence who your people are, right? And you know subconsciously the people that you want to rise with you, right? You also know subconsciously that there are people in your playing field that maybe make you feel like you have to play small, right? All you can do is work on you, because when you work on you, this is what happens. The people that are meant to stay with you continue to rise with you, right? And so many of us have this fear of like, well, what about the people that fall away? The people that fall away, you grow into the person who's okay with it. You grow into the person who like literally you're like, you get to the point in your life where you're like, this is okay. I'm at peace with this. Like, this is good. This is all good. And you still love those people, right? Like I will always love my daughter's father for the fact that it's like my daughter's father, right? Not out of any place romantically, but just out of the fact that like there was a soul purpose for us to be together, right? We were predestined on a soul level to create the most beautiful thing that is in my life, which is my daughter, right? So we do everything with love. We just grow into the person who's capable of saying, these are the people that are still rising with me. It's okay if certain people fall away. And you just grow into the person that's capable of handling it, right? And so I was in this relationship and there were all these things where, you know, there was just this disconnect and like, you know, with frequency too, like you will actually find yourself, like it's like a magnet, right? Everything is energy. So like when you raise your frequency, if there are people in your energetic space that don't jive with your frequency, you will actually like, it will feel like you're like repelled from each other, right? So that's another thing too, which is a topic for another mini series. But I healed everything with love, right? So I got to a point in this relationship where I was like, this isn't really serving me, but I'm not really sure what to do, right? And one of the biggest fears that I had, and I worked on this with my mentor, was I probably stayed in that relationship longer than I knew that I wanted to, because there were a lot of fear-based reasons to stay, right? Like, how am I going to do this by myself? And one of the things was, I had built, so with Beachbody, with the network marketing business that I partner with, I had built his business center up to be a 1-star diamond team, which was a third of my income. And I knew that if I left that relationship, and this is so silly, right? I stayed in a relationship for an accolade, okay? But at one point in my life, this was like what I thought I absolutely needed, be all end all. Like, everyone needs to know that Jessalyn is successful, and if she doesn't have the accolade, people aren't gonna think she's good enough. And if people don't think that she's good enough, she's not gonna be good enough, right? So it was like this backhanded, ass-backwards belief I created about my own self-worth, right? So in 2017, I was like a level 2, right? And like him canceling his business center and like me losing a third of my income was like catastrophic, right? Like I couldn't even wrap my head around the fact that like if I leave him and I lose this business center, like I'm not worthy of anything, right? Because level 2, 2017 over here, like huge ass freaking level 5 problem, right? So you could see like why I would feel like that was a big problem, right? 2018, October 2018, hired my mentor. I started doing a lot of fucking inner work on my beliefs, on what actually served me, getting crystal clear on my vision, right? I started to raise my vibration, right? So now I'm like a level 3, level 4 person, right? Come January 2019, all of a sudden, I'm a freaking level 6 person. We canceled that business center. A week later, I had my highest paycheck ever. Boom. Because when that business center got canceled, I chose to believe that when that business center got canceled, it was going to create so much more space for the right people to find me and for my people to come in and for infinite abundance to flow in. That was the belief that I had. And a week after we canceled that business center, I had my highest paycheck ever. Right? Because I grew. This was a level 5 problem. I grew from a level 2 person to a level 6 person. So that is why successful people seem like they don't have problems. It's not because they don't have problems. They grow into the person that's capable of handling the problem. And that is why self-love is so important. That is why I'm saying, and you know, with this mini series is success, abundance, joy, healthy relationships, everything is a heart issue. And once you get crystal clear on who you are and wholeheartedly accepting and loving yourself, you open yourself up to infinite opportunity. So I'm going to wrap that. I'm just going to see if there's any other comments or questions. Oh, Danielle Bosch just walked in. Oh, thank you, Taryn. I'm loving the natural light as well. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna wrap this video. Thank you guys so much for joining me on day 1 of our mini-series. Day 2 will actually take place on Wednesday at 11:11, and day 3 will actually take place on Friday at 11:11. I will make sure that you guys have some interactive posts throughout the next several days. So you'll have some posts on Tuesday and Thursday as well. I will also make sure to get your homework posted, guys, because the homework, I know some of the stuff is gonna seem like a no-brainer. Like when I post the coursework, you're gonna be like, okay, well this is like, really easy stuff to journal out. Do the work. The stuff that I do right now that, literally is going to get me to my next level is the same stuff that I was doing a year ago, right? It's just, it's repetition, and we're always peeling back the layers. Do the work. I know it seems easy. I don't want to hear anyone say, I didn't do the coursework because it just seemed too easy. No, do the coursework. That is where the magic happens. So I'll get your coursework posted. I'm just so blessed and so grateful to have each and every one of you on day 1 kick off with me. I love you guys. You guys are the real OGs. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you. I love you. You guys make me feel so good. So grateful for you guys. Have an amazing freaking Monday.